morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro-Tips. Kiki, wait! With Kiki, I think. But anyway, with me, your host, Anne, and disembodied hands, Quindy, and Justin, and John, and it's time for you, Kiki! Yay! Hello, good girl. Good girl, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the kisses. Thank you for the kisses. Good girl. Oh, paw. Paw to the face. Paw to the face, boot to the head. Paw to the face. Big fuzz. No eating my hand. Okay, you. No noms. No teeth. You know. You know. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, good girl, Tigers. Good girl. You got your door. Hold on. Yeah, actually, I'll leave you with that door. You're good. You're good, Bubba. Okay. See you later. Calm down. I'll be right back. Gotta stream. Oh, that's the problem with a plush Shiloh Big Chimpo. I want less floof, actually. She's actually got a moderate amount of floof. Happily, it's not totally out. Of course, she's also not full grown. Once the hormones kick in, that's when the coat kicks in. So, but yeah, you guys only see her rough, and she has a big fluffy lion ruff. So, oh, good morning. So it's a short stream today, huh? There's nobody watching. Is that what you said, Inara? Nobody's there. Standard fuel to fluff converter. Yes. Free with most models of dog or cat. Yes. I do prefer them a little less fluffy, but I did not have that option with this one. But if we keep a puppy from Kiki, the only one I'm going to accept is a smooth. So that's the only way we keep a puppy is if I use a smooth with her and we get a smoothie puppy I want to keep. And I get one of each. Yeah. Happy whatever holiday of your choice it is. Indeed. I guess it is Easter weekend, isn't it? I forgot. Yay, Marvel, yay! Round of applause. I'm awesome. I'm very happy you're going to get it. Tell me what you think when you're done. So, yeah. Hi, Roger. All right, so I'm going to work on the green today, and then I'm going to work on the NMM. So I'm going to grab my stuff. Got a good brain on my shoulders this morning. I actually got sleep last night. The Keekster let me sleep. It was good. Where did I put my meadow green, Papa? There it is, meadow green. And then I need some pine green, my other favorite. Where are you? 9010. And then some Death Knight for the Death Knight black for the shadows. I have to remember where I stuffed that. There it is. Yay! So you're at home today. See, coworkers are occasionally useful, Quindy. We may not enjoy them greatly, but they're occasionally useful. But yes. So yeah, it's cool. I was working on, before the stream, before I ate my breakfast, I had some time, so I was working on the book two. Very happy. You did miss the puppy. She was here, and then she left. Sorry, Kodiak. Yes, occasionally useful. What's up, puppy? Are you running around? Are you sitting in the kitchen so you can watch me? You are. She's funny. She's a funny dog today. I got you, Tyler. Yeah, I am. On occasion, I don't suffer from insomnia, but I'm a very light sleeper. And if I get woken up substantially in the middle of the night, I have a lot of trouble going back to sleep. So I feel that sometimes. Yesterday was bad because Kiki woke me up like an hour early, and that really disrupts, because I do a lot of my REM sleep at the end of the night, and that really made me feel groggy all day yesterday. All right, so 2-to-1 meadow to pine is our base. So I'm going to mix some of that up. And I'm going to pull this down so that we can get in the area that we want. And I think I'm going to mix, I'm going to mix it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do actually a three times the recipe because I want to be able to use it for highlights. Oh, yeah, I use, we just have a fan going in our bedroom, mostly because Kiki gets, she's got all that fur, and so she likes it cool. So I'm going to do 3 drops of pine green. And I would probably highlight up with straight meadow and probably a little bit of lemon yellow added in, or yellow mold. Hey, Daffodware. But yeah, I got a white noise machine, which does do rain, before the trip to Arizona, and it was wonderful in the hotel room. Plus the Keekster did pretty well on the road, so we didn't have too much trouble. So then I've got a 222, so that's 2 drops of the pine green, 2 drops of the meadow, and 2 drops of Death Knight Black. Build that shadow. Yeah, that sounds like kind of a pain, Kodiak. How old are your kids? Also, Kodiak, are you on Bridget's litter? The new one? Or are you holding off until you can get... I can't remember if you needed to get fencing around your yard or not before you got a puppy. I can't remember our last discussion because it was a long time ago. Cool, Patrick. Thanks. Yeah, it probably works for some people. It just wouldn't work very well for me. 3 and 4. Oh my God, Kodiak. Oh boy. Wow. Oh no. Sorry for all the people who got bad sleep. Oh. Yes, a lack of sleep definitely impacts your health for sure, Inara. So, yay! I'm glad. Yeah, I don't like pills either. I only take them if I absolutely must. I do take my muscle relaxer when I absolutely need it because I don't want to get a back spasm. But yeah, I feel it. I feel it. I have no love of pills. I didn't even take my painkillers after my surgery after the first day. Because I just always feel like if I can't feel the pain, I'm going to do some dumbass thing. That's going to make everything worse. Oh, I see. You didn't ask for her permission to take a day off. Ah. Oh no, Kodiak. Yeah, well, all right. That just means it's, I'm one of those people who's like, well, if I can't do it this year, that means it's just not meant to be. And the puppy for you is waiting for a future day. Your best puppy will be born when you are ready. There we go. All right, and some Death Knight Black just in case I need a little bit more of a shadow. So, oh, inheritable deadly form of insomnia. Great, just what I need to have in my head. Yeah, that sounds horrifying, Kelvin. Pretty horrifying. Oh, yeah. They're getting caught by the night demons. I like Quindy's explanation better. Oh dear. All right, let's build a highlight, and then we can just do everything. All the things. All the things. And I think I am going to make it lemon yellow. So, okay, if we wanted the green to come up lighter but not warmer, then we would do maybe yellow mold, which has more white and less yellow in it. But if we want a warmer highlight, then we want to use the other one. So you can see the difference there. Yellow mold is on the right and lemon yellow on the left. You can see how much more white is clearly in yellow mold. Plus it has a little bit of a muting agent. It's a little bit greenish. But lemon yellow is more intensely yellow. So both of these make excellent highlighting colors for just mixing into things like oranges and greens when you want a warmer highlight, or golds, browns, anything like that. But just one is more yellow, so it's going to come up more golden than the other. All right, so I'm going to use lemon yellow. I'm going to use 2 drops. And the thing is that usually I do mix yellow and white into my colors to get highlights if I'm painting the model as if it's under normal daylight. But sometimes when you add something with too much yellow and not enough white, it shifts green, like green yellow, but it doesn't get lighter. And that's the problem. That's why you might want to also add some white or use yellow mold instead. But we'll try this and see how it goes. And I'll mix these up. Oh, and my sculpting tools are all still out. They need to go back. I've been bad about cleaning up my area. Yeah, I'm working through rewrites on book 2 right now, and I'm in chapter 11, so I'm a third of the way done. ish. Of course, things might get longer as I go. I'm going to put only one drop of water in the Death Knight because it's already pretty slim. And then I'm going to put 2 drops in everything else. Yeah, always put down white first, Kodiak. This is the thing you should automatically be thinking whenever you are painting a lighter color or a bright color over a black primer. Put down white first. It's going to make the color so much brighter, and you're not going to have to worry because you can, even if you just put down 1 coat of white and it's not perfect coverage, putting yellow over the top of that is going to be so much better than putting it over the black that it's a no-brainer. Same with red, same with orange, same with, transparent greens, transparent blues, transparent purples, anything like that would take you forever. Pretty much any strong color that would take you forever that doesn't have great stuff, great coverage. You'd always put down white first. Always, always. Basic fundamental trick that you should never forget if you're using black primer. Or alternatively, do a white sketch and use the black as your shadow and do that. Because greenish for shadows on yellow is actually pretty natural. So you can think about that. Now this is good. It lightened up the color a bit. If I go up any farther from here, I'll probably use pure white. Or if I decide I want it a little more yellow, but I don't think that I do. The reason I wouldn't want it yellow is because this green goes right up against the gold here on the border. I'll get him in focus shortly. But because that is the case, you don't want your green to go closer to yellow or it's going to start to clash with your gold. Conflict with your gold. It does if you do zenith over the top or sketch. Like black undercoat does help with shadows, but you also need to do the white overspray or the light gray overspray works as well, or do the sketch style, or do both. Do the overspray and then sketch. I'm very interested to see now that we're taking this Mark Maskelyne's class. I'm very interested to see what he does for starting. He does a lot of intricate texture work. Everybody's got to learn that lesson at some point, Kodiak. So, hey, you learned it earlier in your painting process, so I think you're good. Hey, it would be too easy if there wasn't a learning curve. It wouldn't be rewarding at all. So there's our colors, so we're going to go in and start working on this guy. And I had those colors because I kept, of course, my little card with the swatches so that I could recreate what I needed. Let's get this guy in focus. Today, by the way, is because there's all sorts of awesome anniversaries for me, anniversaries and birthdays in April and the end of March. Like my mom's birthday, my nephew's birthday, David's birthday, my dad's birthday, my sister-in-law's birthday, David and I's date-iversary, Adepticon, and today is the 3-year anniversary of me moving to California. 3 years ago today, me and Kiri pulled into a parking place outside of David's new apartment. So I'm just blocking in some shadows here on the hat to make them a little darker. Yeah, so, and it was raining then too. It's a rainy day today. I told David was complaining about it, and I'm like, the reason it's raining is because it's my 3-year anniversary of coming here, and it was pouring rain for the last leg of our drive on that last day. And then once I actually got there, it never rained again until like the winter. Like we had no rain after I arrived. Yeah, right at the beginning of lockdown, Big Tempo. Yep, I moved cross country during the very start of the pandemic to be with my guy. Yep. In fact, I had planned it, months before that, obviously, because I had to hire a mover and everything. But, nobody knew that it was going to get the way it was, and so it was really interesting to essentially Reaper 2 weeks before I moved, Reaper like stopped having people working at the factory unless they were essential, right? I think actually we totally closed down the factory for at least a week. So I was working from home. I was doing streaming and painting from home for Reaper for the last bit of my time in Texas. So I wasn't even like at work. So I'm just getting in, blocking a little more shadow. Want to put a little bit more shadow under the hat. Yeah, for sure. It's just I went right at the beginning, right? Nobody even knew at that point how bad it was going to get. But it was really frustrating because I didn't realize, because it was just at the beginning, I didn't realize how many things had already closed down. So like no restaurants were open when we pulled into Santa Fe the first night, for example. So I was lucky I had road food, or I would not have had food. But yeah, so and then of course I moved to David's and we couldn't do anything, right? Because everything was closed. So I didn't get to actually explore my new home until, later in 2021. So when things started loosening up. So yeah, move in with your new boyfriend and then, spend the entire pandemic, living together in very close quarters. It's a good thing we love each other. We were pretty sure that getting married after that was going to work out because of that. And because it was the pandemic, that also meant that I had to depend on my Patreon. Like even, I already knew because Kiri had gotten worse that me getting a real job when I went out there was probably, like I'd already talked to David about just doing the Patreon for a while. Because Kiri needed me to be home, like she wouldn't have done well without me. Because she was getting pretty bad at that point. And so I already knew that I was going to try that. But then when the pandemic just, stretched on, it turned into, well, even though Kiri is not here anymore, I am still just Patreoning, and doing my streams for Reaper. And then it just became my job. Like I just decided, let's just see if I can make a success at this. And if my income, I set a limit that if my income ever fell below it, that I would have to get a real job again. But so far, we have managed to keep just ahead of that limit. So I'm still here, still doing my thing. And that is why you guys get me streaming every day. If the Patreon fails, or Reaper decides it doesn't want me anymore, then I'm not streaming anymore. So thank you for being my patrons, because you enable this thing I'll call a lifestyle. You seriously do, and very, very very real you do enable it. Yeah, because I'm practical and I've tried this freelance thing before and not done well at it, and so I knew it was going to be, it was potentially a rocky choice, just because you never know. Patreon makes it easier. Patreon and Reaper together make it easier because I know that I have X income every month, more or less. The Patreon fluctuates a little, but it makes it possible to do this thing. Yeah. So, and now the books. So if I can get the books up and running, then that gives me even more margin and increases the likelihood that I will never have to work another real job, which is what I'm going for. Just trying to put a bit of shadow here under this crease, around over his face. And I don't want too much shadow up here because the feather's tilted to the side. It's more hitting the other side. So now I'll put some highlights up there. Hey, Astro Squee with the gift subs. Hey, a sub for the show is a vote for the show. Yes. So, the day that your mother tells you that she's reading the book you wrote is the day you're glad that you're not a steamy romance author. By the way, Mom texted me yesterday because I sent her a flower picture of a cool flower I found when I was out shopping, and And she's like, I'm reading your book, and so is Auntie Carolyn. And I'm like, thank God there are no sex scenes. Oh, dear. Happily, the sort of thing that I enjoy writing is the sort of thing that is pretty unobjectionable for my parental units and my family in general. So a little bit of that highlight, you can see how it's a little bit warmer. No, asterisk, we know. Not my thing. Tyler, that's awesome. Good. I hope she likes it. She stole it. You're going to need to buy another one. Not. But still, that's funny. I'm glad. That's what I hope will happen. That kind of thing is the kind of thing that eventually gets you word of mouth and grows your audience. And that's what we want. We want a nice, I don't care if my audience ends up being small, but I want a happy, nice audience that looks forward to every new book and shares my love of the world and the characters. That's what I want. And hopefully the books help you escape a bit from the doldrums of ordinary life. That's what I enjoy about reading. I always have. As a kid, I was an escapist fiction fan. Anything that like takes me to a different world with characters I love, and like I get to see cool magic stuff and experience neat things, and from the safety of my, chair, I'm happy about that. So that's what I want to share with the world. Because God knows there's enough crazy stuff going on all the time to make us all anxious and sad and fearful. Which isn't to say that I want us to ignore reality. But, sometimes you just need a break. All right, a little bit of light just up there above his face. Oh, good, Big Jimbo. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're aiming for those 10 reviews. I'm really aiming for those 10 reviews. Whether you don't have to write anything if you don't want to. You could just leave a star if you want to. But if you do feel inclined to write something, that's awesome because people always read those. I mean, I read reviews on Amazon for sure. And on Goodreads if I go there to like look around for a new mystery series. So just a little bit of highlight just to bring that top surface up a little lighter. This is our lightest highlight, but I've thinned it down so it's not super bright or bold. And I've got my earlier colors, so if I do see that I don't have a great blend, I can always grab my previous color and kind of blend in the edge here. There we go. It's a nice hat. R.A. Salvatore. Yeah, I mean, R.A. is a little bit more like, I guess it's a little more, it reads a little more D&D. I think if he's a big fan of R.A. Salvatore, he might actually, but R.A. is also like a classic fantasy type, right? So yeah, I mean, he could try it. I mean, just have him read the first few chapters, and if he likes the writing style and he likes he's interested in it, then he'll keep reading, right? I'm a great believer in that. Like, when I go to Amazon to look at a book, I always click on the look inside and I read the first chapter or chapter and a half, whatever's there. And that'll be enough to tell me, right? That'll be enough to tell me, do I like this writer's style? Is it well edited? Because I'm kind of a stickler for that. Oh, nice, Inara. Great. Yeah, I mean, there's no hurry, right? We're in this for the long haul. So whenever people read it, if you leave a review, I'm super happy. And we will slowly work our way toward those vaunted 10 reviews that I need to eventually get a BookBub deal. Also, I remember I told you guys about a book competition, the Reader's Choice book competition. I entered it with East of the Sun. I figured there's no harm done, and if I don't get anything, I don't get anything. It was a very small entry fee, relatively speaking, and If it does make it to like being a medalist, then it gets some attention, and that's pretty much a plus for me. I'm going to look at some other competitions too, but the big one, the one I'd really like to enter, but you have to release during a certain time frame, is the Kindle Storyteller. That's got a big cash prize, but competition is, of course, fierce because it's got a big cash prize. But so not this book and not the next one, but maybe book 3. Maybe book 3 I'll try to release after May 1st, even though it means pushing the release date a little bit later. Because that's the problem with the Kindle Storyteller, is you have to release like between May 1st and August 30th, I think, or 31st, whatever, how many days there are in August. Yeah, it's a rainy Friday here too. But yeah, I'm not really trying to push this book yet because other than to try to get the reviews that we need to promote it in the future, because it's just one book, and the second book will finish this particular story about these particular characters. The third book continues the overall, like, still with a couple of characters. Sola is one of the main characters for those who have read the book in book 3. So I'll continue with a couple of the characters. I'll essentially a lot of the characters kind of split apart eventually and figure out their own paths. And so the next books follow some of those paths. Lets me explore different areas of the world and different characters. I don't know, Pendrake. Probably because summer is such a heavy book release season. So there's definitely, book releases are seasonal. There's the holiday season, which is probably the biggest season is the holiday season, which probably starts toward the end of October and goes through, January 1st or the first week of January. And there's always big releases for the holiday season because people buy books as gifts, right? So lots of releases in end of October, in November especially, really heavy, and in December, when people are shopping for books for their relatives. But then the other big reading season is summer, because a lot of people go to the beach, they drag a book with them, or they go out on a picnic, they bring a book, So I imagine the Kindle Storyteller window is essentially because of that big book release period. Summer is reading season. Then you've got a bit of a lull at the start of the year, which is actually one of the reasons I released East of the Sun earlier in the year. I didn't want, because on any given day on Amazon, there's like 4,000 books released. But if you're not in peak season, maybe there are only 2,000 or 3,000. So Oh, nice, Big Chimpo. Cool. Yeah, I read on my phone a lot, surprisingly so. I have a Kindle tablet as well. I've got a Paperwhite. And I like it, but I actually find it a little easier on my phone sometimes. And then I can just read, like, if I'm in line at the grocery store or whatever, right? If you're stuck in a line, you can sit there and read on your phone. So yeah, I do a surprising amount of fiction reading on my phone these days. Non-fiction reading I do on my Kindle, usually because I find it a little easier to bookmark and flip around from page to page on there. So just re-putting in a little bit of highlight on the green here, bringing it up a little bit. But you can see how when I bring it up, it gets a little hard to see that demarcation between the gold and the green. So I don't want to do very much. Yeah. But yeah, so Kindle Storyteller is the big one. I think it's like $10,000 grand prize or more. Or it's like big. It's like, it might be like a 20 or 30,000 grand prize. I don't remember. It's a lot. And anybody all over the world, I think, as long as you're in an English-speaking country, although they have versions also for, they have other versions for a couple other areas of the world. But yeah, so that's a big one, and that's that really gets you noticed. That's the one that most people know if they know competitions. So yeah, so I definitely want to enter. There's no downside to entering if your book is releasing anyway. The only downside is that you have to release during that window. So We'll see. Because I really like the spring-fall release schedule that I've kind of gravitated towards, and we'll see how doable it is. But as I continue to write and kind of refine my process and figure out exactly how long it takes me to write a book, edit a book, and get it ready for you guys to read, because that's a big question mark right now since I'm still in the early days of my writing career, then I'll be able to refine things a little more, and maybe I'll wobble a bit from that biannual. I think I can write faster, but the problem is the editing, is that I really want things to be really high quality before they go out to you, and that tends to take time. And maybe as I get better at writing in my roughs, maybe everything will get easier to edit. I don't know. It's a big question mark. It's the exciting part of starting a new thing, is figuring it out. Figuring out how it's going to go. So I've got a sharp fold there, so I'm bringing that in. We were just talking about the book, Richard. I was talking about publication schedules and how I'd like to enter the Kindle Storyteller Award eventually, but probably not till book 3. Because book 3, after the first 2 books, each book is much more of a standalone, and I feel like that's more likely to get notice in Storyteller. But it's supposed to reward like excellence in writing, and I don't think it's just indie published. I think it's anybody. But it's open to indie authors, so not all awards are. Good, Richard. That's great. That's what I love to hear. Because you know what? That's the hardest thing. You know how it's so hard to tell how good your painting is? Like, where you really are not sure and you always criticize yourself and you're like, I don't know where I am on the talent tree, right? It's like that with writing too. And for me, the hardest thing to nail down about writing is pacing. Like, it's really hard for me to judge whether my pacing is good. So if you feel like it's hard to put down, then that's great, Richard. Like, that was the first thing I asked my editor my second editor when I got her, because I'd dealt with a bunch of stuff in the first edit, and then I hired a real pro to do the second one, and she said my pacing was good for YA, so I trust her. But hearing that from you makes me feel good, because pacing is a hard beast to figure out, because it's something that you tend to do subconsciously as you write, at least for me. It's not, some writers plan it out, like they plot out a bunch of really linear stuff so that they make sure that they have things happening, but for me it's more kind of by my gut, and so I was never sure if my pacing was good, bad, or ugly. It's a subtle thing. It's like style, pacing and style. Yeah, I like that too, Big Chimpo. That is across all my devices. As long as they sync okay, so I can always make sure I'm on the right page. Sometimes I get a little wobbly on that on my devices. All right, so we're going to go across, and we're adding our shadows first to bring down some shadows, and then we're going to lighten up. We're going to bring these folds up because there's very shallow folds here. I'm not bringing in that dark. I'm just going to highlight and make those folds come out that way. But yeah, since it is a 2-book kind of duology for this first one, I don't expect people to necessarily recommend it to their friends yet. But once book 2 is out, I'm hoping that more people will tell people about it. And I have to double check again with Goodreads because they're still not. I still didn't have access to an author page. I do on BookBub. I need to double check that I set up my author page on BookBub. Hypothetically, if you follow an author on BookBub, it should email you when they release a book. Amazon is very dicey on that, I hear, nowadays. Amazon used to be very good about telling you when one of your authors that you followed had a new book out, but I have heard that it is not that great about it yet. So see, there we go. Now we can see it. So I'm slowly bringing up highlights here, and my midtone is my shadow because this flares out. You see how it flares out to catch the light, and it's also very flat, so you don't want a dark shadow there. Oh yes, East of the Sun Becker. If you search Amazon for East of the Sun Becker, it'll be there. Also, it should be orderable. I hope. I'm not sure on this. I need to go over to Barnes and Noble and search for it, because that's when I'm gonna know that Ingram's has put the book in its catalog and distributed that to bookstores. Because otherwise I'm not sure, because I've never used Ingram's before. It's essentially the platform, it's the distributor, so it lets me get my book available to libraries and bookstores outside of Amazon. And it's also where I'm going to be doing the hardcover, which my cover artist just emailed me this morning to tell me that she would be working on that tomorrow. So that's really good. Mostly I just want a hardcover for me, but I also want to buy probably a small box of them to bring to ReaperCon. Because hardcover. I'll probably end up bringing most of them home with me, but just in case. I do love me a beautiful hardcover book. Does it? Awesome. Then it's distributed. Sweet! So now you can order my book. That means I can go. That's fantastic, Wendy, because that means I can go and put that on my website so that people who don't like Amazon can order it. One moment. Yay. It also means you can walk into your local Barnes & Noble and order my book. Or into, if it's in B&N, then you also should be able to walk into any of your local independent booksellers and also search for it. They should be able to find it. East of the Sun Becker should turn it up anywhere. Let me make a note to do that. B&N link on website. Thank you. Thank you for checking that out, Quindy. I'll put that on my to-do. I'm excited. Good. Good. Excellent. That, at least, is working as intended. Sweet. Yeah, I really wanted that. I don't have, because my ebook is exclusive to Amazon, I can't make the ebook available on like Nook and Kobo and all that yet. But I'm kind of dubious about Kindle Unlimited for my genre. I don't know if it's very good for my genre. I know that Kindle Unlimited is great for romance authors because romance readers are voracious and they tend to just barrel through books and they'll often read a book a day. So for them, Kindle Unlimited makes a huge amount of sense. They pay, $14.99 and they can read 50 books a month if they want. But I don't know about young adult fantasy, if that's really a good genre for Kindle Unlimited. And if it's not, then I may swap over and decide to go wide instead. The only reason to do Kindle Unlimited is if it gets more eyes on your book, because, when it's free to read, but I still get paid for it, which is nice if you read it. And it also, if you're exclusive with Amazon, they give you special promotional tools. So just like the promotion in May, where I'm going to put the book down to $2.99 for a while to see if more people pick it up. Just like that, that's an exclusivity tool. But we'll see if it works for me. Big Chimbo, it's you don't need that long, because especially with the first book like this, and the reason is if you read for free on Amazon, that I get the least money. Don't forget to stretch. So essentially what that probably will give me is about $1.82 for the book. If you buy it in ebook, then I think I make $3.50, and I think I make about $3 in softcover, 3 or 3.5. I tried to make it about the same across there, and I had to put pricing also to be competitive in the market and stuff like that. So I think I get about $3 for the other ones. So yeah, I mean, either way, the problem with the Kindle Unlimited is if you borrow it for free, but then you don't read it, I get 0. Whereas if you buy it and you don't read it for 3 months, I still get money. So yeah. Oh yeah, exactly, Kodiak, yeah. As far as the analytics goes, Big Chimpo, because I'm a brand new author and because I only have one product, it makes it a lot easier because the peak of sales is always you spike at the beginning of the release when I've told all you guys about it over that 4 or 5 or 6 day period. We did really well, right? We peaked and then we were still doing okay, but we were dropping. So the curve of a new release book, and it doesn't matter what author, is spike and then slide. It's like the Kickstarter peak. You know, when a new Kickstarter launches and they've got that peak and then they slide into the trough. Well, the trough is the tail. And so your tail is actually what's important. Like, you can have a great release and that's great, but where your tail settles out is how many sales per day you're getting. So that means that once I see that settle out to a more or less consistent level, that I'll be able to tell very easily if a promotion is working. Because you pull the promotion, you watch the following week, because the great thing about being indie published on Amazon is that you have a great sales dashboard to watch if you want to. I haven't looked at mine because I've been saving it. But once I do the promo, I'll actually look at it and see if the promo impacts sales. So I should be able to have that. Yeah. And that's actually the really nice thing about being indie published as opposed to traditional. Traditional publishing is notoriously opaque as far as like you get your earnings statements, but it's really confusing and takes up lots of pages and it isn't clear at all. Whereas if you publish your own book, you get, earnings statements directly from Ingram's and from Amazon, and those are a lot easier, and you get your Amazon dashboard. So yeah. So once I have a lot of different products, that makes it harder to figure out if a given promotion or advertising is working because you don't necessarily know. You're like, well, things went up here, but maybe my book might have gotten exposure somewhere here, or sometimes you don't know. If you see a spike, if it is good enough to see a spike, then you're like, all right, that worked, right? But some advertising, like more consistent advertising where you're paying a little bit every day to put ads up, like Amazon advertising, Facebook advertising, that stuff can be hard to tell if you're really getting value for it. Because it really, unless it really boosts your tail, you won't be able to tell. In general, the rule that many, many authors have said that I pretty much believe is true is that the best ad for the first book is the next book. So you expect to see your tail elevate a bit whenever the next book is released as new people discover you and they go back and find your first book, right? And the more books in a series you have, the better that works. But yeah, so that's kind of it. Yeah, but it's very easy with my one little book to tell if something is working. So yeah, once I do that sale, I'll be able to look at my data and see, oh, okay. Honestly, I haven't checked my dashboard. All I've been kind of watching is my Amazon rank because the Amazon rank does correlate to sales and borrows directly. So although that will no longer be true after the first 30 days, 60 days, etc., because you get some inertia. So you have to stop caring about the Amazon sales rank, really. Because after Amazon kind of decides where you fall as far as your average sales, it tends to just stick you around a certain rank. Unless something big happens and it's sustained. So I will have to stop caring about Amazon sales rank after a couple months. Because my book could sell a few copies and the Amazon sales rank still might not go anywhere. Because it'd be an isolated incident. Oh, have fun, Twistoma. Yeah, Big Chimpo, exactly. Why would we inform the author, right? Yeah. We keep things confusing, so they keep relying on us, yep. Yeah. I like this better. I mean, the thing is, even if I had gotten the agents that were one of those agents that were interested in me, the book still might have not had a great launch just because it's a new book. I would have gotten some money up front. sure, for an advance, but the advances are just not huge nowadays because that's where the big publishing companies cut costs. So unless you're like a celebrity or you're a proven commodity, your book isn't going to get very much advertising. Honestly, I can do more on my own. And I still own my IP this way, which is nice. I looked into audiobook, by the way. I now have a quote. I need to get back to them, actually. Where's my to-do list? Get back to audiobook, people. So now I know. I essentially contacted the closest audiobook recording studio to me, which is in Berkeley. So it's a bit of a drive, but not bad. Audiobook peeps. And they gave me essentially a quote for studio time, touch-ups time, like essentially where they have to, if you have to re-record any sections after editing, production, some direction and stuff like that. And I was right, it's expensive. So even if I do it myself, if I read it myself and I don't hire a professional voice actor, that's the least expensive way to do it, and it's still going to be about $3,500. So I think it's Chibi Amy's husband who has a voice actor who's willing to read her book, his book, sorry. He's saving a lot of money to have. Especially if the actor has his own like room to record in and doesn't have to get a studio. We do not have a good soundproof space here. My mic is good enough, but I would have to put up so much baffling material to make this actually usable. Oh, good, Big Chimpo. Excellent. But yeah, so that's why they tell new writers, they tell you not to do audio right away, right? I mean, unless you got money to burn. I guess I saved up a chunk of money to put into this, but it would pretty much exhaust my fund completely to put it all into the audiobook at that point. And you may, they tell you not to do it audio unless and until your book has found an audience. So you can be relatively sure, just looking at your sales numbers, that you will be able to recoup that money. And it takes a lot of sales to recoup that money, guys. At $3 a copy, we're going to sell 1,000. That's a lot of books to sell these days. So yeah. It's not ideal, but a duvet cover around you. Yeah, I'm sure there are ways, Babatuk, but I'd rather... Okay, if you have figured out one thing about me, you guys, you should have figured out that when this book was coming out, I wanted it to be as close to a top professional New York level as possible. So I put a lot of time and a lot of money. I've already put about probably $3,000 into the book. At the very least, $2,500 between editing, covers, all the rest of it. So, that I don't want to go half-assed on the audio, right? Like the only thing that I would do would be to voice it myself, which, having theater training and singing training, I'm pretty sure I could get my voice in shape to do it. Yeah, they can make some money that way, Richard, if they've got a good setup and they figure out how to do like the editing and stuff. That's the thing is also, are you going to do your own editing, right? So you can do it cheaper if you have the equipment, you've got the baffling and the sound room essentially that you can use. I might be able to use Reapers. Reaper had a quiet room. Then the studio might be baffled. I should ask Justin. Justin might be able to help me out with this. I'd still want to wait to make sure that people actually want to read my book, but yeah. Because I would still need somebody to do production. I would still offer to pay Justin. It would just have to be like, I need to figure out if that's doable. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I want a professional product, essentially. I want a product that when you listen to it, you cannot tell that it was not done or funded by some big name in New York. It matters to me, I guess. It matters to me to put out a quality product. It's kind of where I am. So see, we've brought up the highlights now. And I'm using a stroke that goes across the coat. And you can see the brush strokes. And the reason is that I don't mind implying a little bit of texture here in the weave. Yeah, but then I'd have to the thing is, one of the things you have to remember, Babatuk, is that when you're in my boat, is that the more you have to stop and learn to do it yourself, the more you are taking away from actual writing time. So there's what they call the Wibbo test, which is, would I be better off writing? And for a new author, the answer is almost always yes. So if I stopped to learn audio treatment, cutting, if I stopped to actually learn how to do that well, which I would want to do it well if I was going to do it, that would take hours, days, weeks away from writing book 2, book 3, book 4. So for me, it's worth it to pay someone to do that, because otherwise I would much rather, I need to get the books out at this point. Now that I'm going, now that the ticking time bomb is on. So if you put the texture across the fold, it de-emphasizes any layering lines and looks like more intentional texture. Like this is the woven texture of the coat. And so doing that on this back section helps to blend in the highlights, and it also helps to give that slight suggestion of texture. Yeah, so yes, can I do it myself? Yeah, but I did most stuff myself. I did a lot myself for the book, for the first one, but I did have to just ask myself at one point, can I learn to do this well enough in a short enough amount of time? And do I have the energy, right? Do I have the energy for it? Sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you look at that mountain that you've got to climb to learn to do a thing, and you just can't. It felt hard even to learn to use my layout software, and that wasn't hard at all when I finally got down to it. But learning to lay out the book, to format it for ebook, right, and for print. So given that, audio feels like it's got a big, I'm sure you could do it decently, but to make it really good, I bet there's quite a learning curve. So I've got a little bit of a shadow mark here I've got to get rid of. So I'm going to get my highlights, and I'm going to bring it all the way up. The other thing I could do, that is a little bit of a dip there, so I could put a little bit more shadow in there. So maybe I'll do that. Yeah, but by then, because they're already starting to monetize ChatGPT, so by then ChatGPT to get a version that will do that for you is going to cost money. I can see it coming already because they're already starting to monetize it. I was reading an article the other day about pretty much criticizing them because they started out as a nonprofit wanting to do this to help everybody, and now they're monetizing pretty hard. So it's we were all philanthropic until there was money involved, and now we're not. Nice, Kodiak, nice. Yeah, open AI, quote unquote, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly, Shadow Raven, exactly. I wouldn't invest the time until book 2 is out for sure. And maybe not till after book 3 is out. Because again, it depends on audience. You don't want to, with that amount of money and time, because even if Justin was willing to help me with it and had the time and, and I had the money to pay him, that would still be a big investment that still takes me away from writing the next book. So I really need to know that there's an audience out there for my books. And then, so here's the exception. I'm kind of going on a vertical stroke trying to wipe out some of this line that I've got going on here. Feels like, yeah, there we go. Okay, we're getting there. So I'm going to go vertical to wipe out the line, and then I'm going to come back horizontal with my texture. But yeah, so I definitely want to make sure that I want that people want to read my book, and there are enough of them out there, and there's enough demand for the audiobook. Otherwise, I'd just be spending money and time, the equivalent of $3,000, combined, to put out something and then have it sit there and just hear crickets, and that's not what we want. Like that's definitely what we've got at this point as a newbie author. We've got some crickets going on, and that's fine because that means I get to still be invisible while I make my mistakes. Because there will be mistakes. They always say, make your mistakes while nobody knows who you are. So right now I'm enjoying nobody knowing who I am. Once I get a bigger fan base, there's more pressure to do things right and good. Well, I'm not going to go with a major publisher, Richard. Other options will not open up for me. The more I think about it, because if the minute, okay, so one thing, if a traditional publisher noticed me and actually decided that they were interested in my IP, they would offer me a tiny amount of money, probably $5,000 or something. That's about average these days, is $3,000 to $5,000 for an advance. And they would get all my audiobook rights, all my ebook rights, and all my print rights. Because these days, they won't let you keep your ebook rights or your audiobook rights, because those are very lucrative. And they would take those copyrights and they would sit on them for 35 years. Even if the books started to bomb, I would not be able to promote them myself because they would have all of those dashboard enablements. I would not. And I would also not be able to write like spin-off series necessarily featuring the same characters because of IP rights. So, yeah. Favorite must-have paint. Need to fill in order. Oh, that's for chat though. You know mine. Oh, yep. Well, that's cool. It's cool to reread series you really like though, Big Chimpo. That's cool. Yeah, tan skin is very versatile. Yes. But I'm sure Inara already has it. If you want, like, if you're in a green mood, Elven green. That came over into Bones. Or one of the Pathfinders that you maybe don't have yet. Cairn Stone. So I've almost totally eliminated that little blorf in the green at this point. Oh, there we go. Yay, tan skin. There are supposedly some, but they're rare, vanishingly rare, Richard. Like some very well-off indie writers who are already making bank have been able to negotiate with New York for print-only deals where the only rights are print that are signed off, and they kept their ebook and audio. But you have to be pretty big. Like you have to be pretty big to get one of those. So are there options? Yeah. And then there are small presses, but they can be, they don't have the clout of the big five. And so you may get published, which may give your book, like additional, like verisimilitude, like status because you didn't just publish yourself. Although these days that's less and less a thing. But yeah, in order to have somebody else take care of the audiobook, I would need to sign away the rights. Is generally still the answer. Yes, exactly. They are arguably worse unless you meet a specific niche. Baba has it in spades. That is exactly the answer. I don't think I would sign with a small press. For one thing, I actually am enjoying the control I have with this. Is it more work? Did I have to pay a lot for software? Did I have to pay for covers and everything? Yes, but I love working with my cover artist. I like working with editors, the editor of my choice. And now that I know how to do the layout and everything will get easier. Now it's more I have to learn, like, if I decide to go wide, I need to learn how to do all the different distribution channels or the aggregators or whatever to get my audiobook out into the world elsewhere in other countries. Stuff like that. All those click advertisements. Well, at least it's getting picked up there. Is that right? Yeah, no vanity presses. No, there's so many. I know about Writer Beware, and Sifwa's got a Beware site as well. There are a lot of people. And worse, there are traditional publishers now running vanity presses. Like, to give them some, like, credibility, but they're still asking you to pay them to publish your book. Like, no. No. Never pay to publish. Never, ever, ever, ever. Baba knows what they're talking about. I did a lot. That's why I did a lot of reading before I jumped into this shark pool. I'm going to do just a little tiny bit of shadow there. A little bit more here. So now we've got defined folds. Let's back up a little bit, kind of look at it. Remember, you don't want to just stare at it real close. You want to look at it from the back. So this is good, but I could actually, because these folds are shallow, I've left a lot of shadow here and the folds are reading as much narrower. So if I want to make these folds really broaden out nicely, I should probably connect to the very bottoms because they really don't have enough depth to really have this amount of like contrast. So I think I'm going to... Oh, that's nice, Babatuk. I didn't realize that. Yes, Warlord, yeah. Yeah, it's Crusader's Army book. Gosh, I'm so much of a better writer now. I've learned a lot since then. So the first thing we'll do is take our first highlight and try to bridge the bottom here. Using the same across brush stroke. So I want to bring this up more close so that these folds are seen to be as wide as they really are. Oh no, Indie Games World. Oh no, yeah, I bet, Tyler. Because the perceived money is probably more for a game, I would imagine. So I'm going to bring in my highest highlight, and I'm just going to bridge the bottom there. See how that makes it flow together a little bit better. That's fine. Hey, if anybody here is an aspiring author, us talking about how to avoid vanity presses is actually a good thing. But the bottom line is that a real publisher is going to be paid when you get paid. In other words, when they publish your book and it starts making money. Hey, Xylophone, sorry. 43 months! Oh my god. That's a long time. It's a long time. Hello, Gibson. People are even taking their fanfic these days and reskinning it and publishing it, so. But yeah, fanfic's cool. There we go. So we've gotten that blended in a little bit better now, but I'm still seeing these sharp peaks, so I'm going to be like... I feel like I need just a little bit more highlight at the bottom there to make the edge really stand out and to get a little bit more... No, actually we were talking about whether I'm going to be singing quadruple subiversary or quadra subiversary. Quadra subiversary is obviously easier. However, I kind of like trying to do all of the little beats. So it's probably quadruple subiversary. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more of this lighter color. To reload my brush. Using my Raphael Zero today. Long, thin brush. Very, very needle point. Pretty good for the texture stuff. Quadruple subversary. It's like a galloping horse. It's like a galloping horse rhythm. There we go. It's a little bit, yeah, there we go. That's what I like. That's what I like to see. Nice. Nice blended. I could glaze to get rid of some of these harsh strokes I did up at the beginning. So I'm going to grab, actually, probably want to do a glaze with the meadow green. So I'll grab some and I will pop some water into it. That's cool, Tyler. No, it's really cool to reinvent yourself when you're not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, change is good. I want a bigger, fatter brush for this glaze. So I'm going to grab my number 2. But yeah, I like it. I mean, it's brave to reinvent yourself. It's good. Congrats on going for that. I'm going to pop this glaze up here. And I'm going to even thin it a little bit more and go and drag it down. So it's got it real thin. And if I see any pooling, I should drag it out, but I don't actually. It was a nice thin layer. So that will help those dark shadows blend in a bit more. I reinvented myself when I was 46, so you got years yet. It all depends on, like, some people actually get into the thing that they really want to do earlier in life. And those are lucky people. Papa, what are you doing out there? She's definitely not snoozing. You've got 20 more minutes that you're supposed to be good. There we go. So that glaze helped with these little guys up here. I can also take in my meadow green and kind of come in from the side. Here, let me show you guys what I mean here. So I can see these up and down strokes. That's why I don't generally do up and down. And I'm going to come in and kind of do some side brushes over the top in the opposite direction. And that will help to fuzz out those harsh vertical lines. And now they're blending in a lot better. You can still see a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. There is an indentation in the cape there, so. There are always a lot of distractions. Always a lot of distractions in our lives trying to keep us from figuring out the best way we can help the world. Best thing you can do is to spend some introspection time. When I really wanted to think about my life, I would, usually do it while traveling, solo traveling. Road trips are great for it. Doesn't mean it won't drive you into a midlife crisis. Or half of a nervous breakdown if things are really bad. But yeah, it helped me figure out what I was doing. Alrighty. Nice, Big Turbo. Yeah, exactly. You can lay them down. Yeah. I used to use round ones. I don't like dowels. I just never wanted to cut them up. Tyler, I was lazy. But I used to use pill bottles, round pill bottles from my dog's medications, and just fill them with pennies or bad miniatures that needed to be punished. Metal ones, obviously, for weight. But these days, these are really inexpensive. I can get a bag of them for what, $4. And I can lay them down. The model won't roll, as was stated. And they're pretty stable. And the other thing is that if you're painting a mini for competition, is they make excellent little plinths when you paint them black and or stain them and finish them with some sanding. So yeah. Well, just think about it, Kodiak. Think about it. Maybe explore like things that you like to do that are different. I'm sure there's got to be an unconventional way to use. It depends on why you don't want to be a nurse, right? If you just don't like the hierarchy, then maybe you might, but you still love helping people, then maybe you could do more like a private, like home care nurse kind of thing. But yeah, just think about it. Spend some time thinking about it. Toss it around. Eventually the world will throw something in your face. Like, this does happen. And it's not mystical or anything. Some people will describe it as if it is. But really, if you're thinking about, your change in direction and what you can do, your brain will be primed to kind of just look around you and notice opportunities more. And so it's good to think about it. Don't expect it to pop up if you're not thinking about it. So you can't just sleepwalk through it. You got to kind of be tossing it around in your head a little bit here and there. Pill bottles, yep. Yeah, and they work just fine. I like these because I can use them as plinths in a pinch. I can, drill into them. I can, reshape them if I want to with a Dremel. And they're a good little size. They're a good little size for the mini. And with plastic models, like with metal models, this is almost too light. But with plastic models, it's fine. So. But yeah. Alrighty, so we got our greens, I think pretty much all done. I have a little time left. I can mix up a little bit of a highlight. Maybe I'll just do shadows on the gold that I haven't done yet, so I'll grab my black and brown out and my russet brown. Blackened and russet. Russet to be a warmer shadow, and blackened to really bring in the coldest shadow, maybe for a little lining. Yeah, I don't do the 3-inch cubes. I do the 1-inch. I think I've got the 1-inch, the 1.5, and the 2. Like the mouseling right now is on the 1.5, and I do have 2-inch ones. But I find that the 1.5 is good for plinths for 75mm models, like Tara here. This is a 1.5 inch, I think. Yeah, it is. So this makes a good plinth for this model. So I like the 1.5 a lot. And 75, you don't need anything bigger than this, honestly. And I can still set it down. She's resin, so I can just set it down. She doesn't roll. And then I do have 2-inch for big busts. Like really, really big busts. I think, yeah, I've got Mr. Grumpy on a 2-inch. I think these are actually cut from pine. Out of med surgery to IND, and it was refreshing. Yeah. Oh, ER nurses are totally different from med surg or nursing home or school nurse or labor delivery. Yeah, it's true. That's true. There's a lot of different nurse, right? Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Big Jimbo. Remember, I'm streaming tomorrow, and we're going to be doing hand-mixed skin tones. I want to get this model. I want the skin tones to be touched up and finished by the time I go in to use it for hair lessons. So we'll be smoothing and repainting some of the skin and making it better on tomorrow. That'll be twitch.tv/paintingbig yes, it is. Sorry. Twitch.tv/paintingbig, and it'll be 3:30 USA Central Time. So yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna take a break from Anubis and work on bust lady. I'll have to stick her down to a 1.5 inch plinth probably to work on her easily. But yeah. Yeah, I thought you guys would like that. That's why I thought I would do it. Just switch it up a little bit for Saturday. Oh, I hear paws. The paws are very eager to take their walk today. The paws are clicking around out there. Let me get out a little bit. At this rate, I won't have these browns mixed by the time the stream ends. No one knows, Quindy. Well, you know, if you randomly pass out, I'll miss you, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta pass out. I understand this. You get to a certain age and you understand this about life, the universe, and everything. Pardon me, I have to clean off my pokey tool. I'm gonna have to really clean it off soon. It's got some pink caking up on it. Alrighty, let's get some water in these. About a 1.5 to 1 probably. Because I want it to be... where's my mixing brush? There it is. Yeah. It's as good as a sedative, right? You're just being happy that you're home. Oh, dearie me. I'm happy that it's Friday. I need to do more Patreon stuff today. I'm almost done with my PDF. Today is Patreon day. And tomorrow is writing day. Writing day and then relaxing day. After the stream. I have Overwatch to watch. So I will be doing that and knitting. Working on my knitting. I'm learning a new thing. I'm learning slip stitches. So as I slowly work on my my knitting, which is a direct analog of learning to mini paint. So alrighty, let's get some shadows on. We've got our gold shaded and highlighted on the front, so I need to work on the back. And take I've got my rich leather base, and I need to shade on the bottom here. I'm gonna use a pretty big brush so I can go faster. So shade on the bottom, right where it cuts away at the top, whereas as the cuff rounds out, and then it falls down, that's where the highlight's gonna be. It's gonna be there, it's gonna be there. Yeah, it does. I do a lot of mixes of the mid-tones. I use Rosy Skin. I use Tan Skin. Yeah, I mean, sometimes some of the shadows are very useful. I find Rosy Shadow to be useful, but I wouldn't bother with Rosy Highlight. I'd just add white to Rosy Skin. So yeah, picking up the midtones and the shadows if they look interesting. Although the dark skin triad is different, and I would probably go for the Bones dark skins instead, or in addition. Like if you pick up dark skin, also pick up Ebony Flesh and Ruddy Flesh. You should be able to use the dark skin as a bridging color between the two Bones skin tones for dark skin tones. Dark skin tones are their own beast, so you really do need to buy a few different colors for that. You can learn to mix them yourself, but it can be titchy. All right. But if you're talking like lighter skin tones, honestly, like if you pick up, if golden skin is still available, that's our Asian skin color. I would say golden skin, rosy skin, tan skin. I wouldn't even pick up fair skin because I can mix a good fair Caucasian skin from tan skin and rosy. And then pick up dark skin and then ruddy flesh and ebony flesh for your dark skin triads. You will have to mix more, but if you are into mixing, then that's not a downside. And I need to pop a shadow in here. It's a little bit not quite as dark as I wanted it. There. Yeah, it's nice because it's nice to be learning knitting because it really is like starting fresh on something I've never done. Informs my teaching a lot. Like I started knitting right around my 50th birthday. It was kind of what I decided I wanted to do when I turned 50. I wanted to teach myself to knit. So I started doing it, months ago, and I know now how to knit, how to do the knit stitch and how to do the purl stitch, and I've gotten very instinctual and fast at them. And I'm only now learning to do a slip stitch, and I haven't learned how to like join pieces together or to do anything like that. So it's just, and it's been months, right? So this is why we shouldn't expect ourselves when we are doing, I'm going to get some rich leather to touch up a little bit here. Sure. Don't forget to stretch. But we shouldn't expect ourselves to learn everything right away with painting. Like, I have been advocating for a while that you should just practice the stuff. Practice each technique you learn until you feel like you've got a good grip on it and then move to the next. For me, that works. I know some people prefer to just run headlong into everything and then fall down and get up and learn again. But I find I'm far more confident if I, and also I enjoy more speed if I spend time with each of the techniques I'm learning, and I try not to learn too many things at once. So now that I feel like I'm very good at knitting and purling and my yarn tension is getting better, now I feel like, okay, I can take up and I can learn a slip stitch and make myself a cool shawl. How funny, Gibson. Yeah, I picked up crocheting too to make myself an amigurumi animal or two. Kuroniko turned me on to that. But I've put that aside. I actually realized that I do enjoy knitting more. So it was cool to try both, and now I know how to crochet so that if I need to crochet in the course of a knitting project, I can. That's nice. But yeah. So I've got, again, the folds are not deep here, so I only want to use the russet brown here, not the black and brown to do these shadows. I may need to do a touch of black and brown if I really want them to look shiny at the end, but I'll hold off on that until I have the highlights in place, and then I'll make the call. Cloth of gold, or a gold colored embroidered border like this that maybe has gold thread or wire running through it wouldn't be as shiny as pure metal anyway. So keeping that in mind, I feel pretty good about not taking the shadows too dark here. Yeah, I had to go real slow in Ara, and I had to watch a lot of videos. Like, the videos really helped me, because I could just slow it down and just kind of watch each little step and go along with each little step. Otherwise, it was definitely feeling overwhelming for a while there. But that's why I like to do this. That's why Oh, purl. So, okay. The knit stroke creates that V shape, when you look at a sweater and it's got those little V's. That's the knitting. And then the little bumps, where if you've got like kind of inverted like the little V's and then the bumpies and it makes a pattern, the bumps are what purling does. And what it is essentially is knitting is just like doing this stroke on one side, and then purling is doing the reverse stroke. So as you're knitting, you're working with your yarn behind, and as you're purling, your needle goes behind as well. And as you're purling, your yarn is to the front and your needle goes to the front. So that is the difference between knitting and purling. So knit 1, purl 2 means you're doing 1 knit stroke to create a little V that's kind of recessed. And purl 2 means you're doing 2 bumps. So you're going to end up with a stripe where the recessed area is very narrow and the stripe, the lumpy area, is broader. So it's a 2 to 1. Lovecraftian horror. It happens in our... Well, maybe you should just knit Lovecraftian horrors, or actually crochet them. I'm surprised there's not an Amigurumi Cthulhu kit yet. Yeah, so it's just essentially those are the 2 basic knitting needle executions, I guess. And once you know those 2, Pendrake, you can mix it up and do all sorts of patterns. And then every more complex knot works off of those. But it took me a while to visualize the whole yarn in front versus yarn in back. Yeah, the magic ring. I know. I have to remind myself how to do it. Like, because I'm doing knitting more now and I like it better, so my crocheting knowledge is receding, so I have to refresh myself if I'm going to do another amigurumi. Well, I need to make feet for my sheep. So my little amigurumi sheep only has he needs another ear, and he needs all his little knobby feet. So I do have to work on that. That needs to get done. So I will need to switch back to crocheting for a while if I'm going to finish my sheep. I had a bunch of cheap yarn to use up, so I decided to make a pale blue sheep, since I had a bunch of pale blue yarn. Nice. Okay, I think we're good, guys. Yeah, it's about 10 after. I've done some basic shading on my gold back here just to darken it down a little bit. And we'll be able to do highlights next time. And I need to, I think looking okay back here. Otherwise, I think we're almost done. Oh, yeah, we got to do the NMM on the front. I haven't done that yet. Well, we'll do that next time, too. So, yeah, it'll be an NMM on this guy next time, and then I'll have to think about his basing if I want to do special basing for him or not. Reaperland will not be on this afternoon. Yes, but Anne will be streaming tomorrow. So, maybe I'll buy myself a coffee. Maybe it's coffee day. Maybe not, though. Maybe not, because I think Starbucks is, like, what disagrees with me. I had coffee at Red Rock down on Castro Street here in Mountain View, and their coffee never gives me an upset stomach. Maybe I should just go down there. Maybe I should just do that. But yes. So no Reaperland, and on Monday we're back to Kathy, and I have an exciting idea for her hair. So I kind of like the color right now, but I do want it just a little more magenta. And so what I think I'm going to do on Monday is do a white glaze over the whole thing, which is very dicey and persnickety, but I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to do a magenta glaze and pop everything up. And then I'll be happy, because I'm almost happy with it right now as far as the hair. So yeah. Yeah, I know, and it makes it more acidic. The darker the roast, the more acidic the coffee, I think, Shadow Raven. I'm not sure. I don't remember about that, but since my guts are so sensitive, since my guts are so sensitive, it wouldn't surprise me if it was. So I just have an excuse to go down and get the nice coffee at our local coffee shop, which needs the help anyway. Persnickety. Eventually it will. I like persnickety. Yeah, so, well, it's an excuse to support my local coffee shop, and I like that. There's also Pete's around here, because Pete's is from Seattle, I think, and there's lots of Pete's coffees around here, but I haven't tried Pete's, so I don't know how I'd do with it. Yeah, but that's okay, because I only drink tea as it is, so my caffeine tolerance is very low, and so a coffee is enough to go. Even one shot of espresso is like that. But yes. Okay, cool, guys. You would not be streaming now. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This was a fun week. And then, yeah, after, I hope you all have a happy Easter if you celebrate it, or whatever holiday of your choice you are celebrating this weekend, if any. And yeah, we'll see you again on Monday. Yay. All right. Have fun, everybody. And hopefully I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow for Saturday stream, okay? Bye-bye.